$180 billion. That's the price tag for the largest corporate takeover in history, a record that, believe it or not, still stands today. So how on earth did the company behind this deal go from making battlefield radios to building a global telecommunications empire? Well, let's dive in.
Yeah, we're talking about Vodafone, a company whose story starts not in some tech lab, but in a military defense factory. And its future? Well, that's being built on artificial intelligence. It's an incredible journey of massive gambles, accidental innovation, and just constant reinvention.
So here's how we're going to break down the Vodafone story. We'll look at its really unlikely origins, then history's biggest corporate gamble, an accidental innovation that literally changed the world, its current big reinvention, and finally, its huge bet on an AI-powered future.
All right, first up, from radios to an empire. To really get Vodafone, you have to rewind the clock to a time before consumer mobile phones were even a thing.
Okay, so what's so fascinating here is that Vodafone's DNA, it's pure defense contractor. Its parent company, Racal Electronics, built tactical radio systems for the battlefield. Their whole expertise was in military-grade communications, which, as it turns out, was the perfect launchpad for a cellular network.
And this just shows you how fast it all happened. I mean, in 1980, they were just kicking the tires on the idea. By 82, boom, they had a license. By 85, the network was live. And just 6 years after that, Vodafone was its own independent company, launching the UK's first digital GSM network. Yep, the same tech that would later give us the text message.
And get this, to mark that huge shift, the very first call on the Vodafone network wasn't made by some engineer or a serious executive. Nope, it was made by a famous comedian. It was just the perfect symbol of the company's transformation, from the secret world of military hardware to the public stage of consumer entertainment.
Okay, so that ambition, it quickly led to the era that would put Vodafone on the world map. The CEO at the time, Christopher Gent, he decided that to survive, Vodafone didn't just need to be big, it had to be the biggest.
And this really sets the stage for an incredible culture clash at the heart of the deal. On one side, you've got Vodafone, aggressive, all about shareholder value, and obsessed with global scale. On the other, you have Mannesmann, a traditional German industrial giant built on consensus and what they call stakeholder capitalism. So when Vodafone launched a hostile takeover, it wasn't just business. It was a full-on assault on the German way of doing things.
And after a brutal 3-month fight where they went directly to Mannesmann's shareholders, this was the result. At around $180 billion, it just shattered every record. It's been more than 2 decades, and it's still the largest corporate acquisition ever.
But you know, ambition on this scale, it always comes at a cost. And crucially, this deal closed right at the peak of the dot-com bubble. When that bubble burst, Vodafone had to write down over £23 billion in value. And then they had to spend nearly $6 billion more on a single 3G license. It was a financially brutal time that really reshaped the entire industry.
So, while Vodafone is making these huge 9-figure deals, its most impactful innovation was born from something, well, tiny. It happened almost by accident. Let's talk about the story of M-Pesa.
The contrast here is just amazing. After spending billions, Vodafone's next game changer came from a £1 million grant from the UK government. The original idea? Just create a simple system for repaying microloans in Kenya using a mobile phone. That's it.
But the team out in the field quickly realized people needed something even simpler, a way to just send money home. So they built this beautifully simple system. Using basic text messages on any old phone, you could securely move money through a network of local shopkeepers, basically creating a banking system for people who didn't have banks.
And the impact? It's been absolutely revolutionary. Today, M-Pesa has over 70 million active users. It processes nearly $500 billion a year. And according to research from MIT, it has lifted 2% of Kenyan households out of extreme poverty. It became Africa's biggest fintech platform, and it all started with a small foreign aid project.
All right, that brings us to the modern era. After years of having these sprawling global operations, Vodafone entered a new phase of intense focus under its CEO, Margherita Adella Valle. This is the great reinvention.
This table sums up her strategy perfectly. And really, it's all about one word: simplification. She sold off businesses in Italy and Spain that weren't performing to focus on the core markets. And then she made a massive £15 billion bet on the UK, merging with their rival Three.
So this merger creates what's now called Vodafone 3, and it's a beast, now the UK's largest mobile operator. With the majority stake, Vodafone is plowing £11 billion over the next 10 years into building one of Europe's most advanced 5G networks. It's a huge move designed to consolidate power and really dominate the UK's next generation of connectivity.
And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, Vodafone's biggest bet on the future. And for them, that future is all about AI.
So, in early 2024, Vodafone announced this absolutely massive deal with Microsoft. This isn't just a software license, okay? It's a deep, decade-long partnership designed to rebuild Vodafone from the inside out, moving its infrastructure to the cloud and embedding AI into every single part of its business.
And this slide just lays out the sheer scope of their ambition. They're using AI to totally transform customer service, shifting their data centers to Microsoft's Azure cloud, spinning their Internet of Things platform into its own standalone business, and, get this, using Azure to scale M-Pesa even further. This is a fundamental bet that the future of a telecom company isn't just about the pipes, it's about being a smart, AI-driven platform.
So, that leaves us with the big question. Vodafone is really standing on three massive pillars right now. Its new powerhouse merger in the UK, its deep AI partnership with Microsoft, and its unmatched African fintech empire with M-Pesa. Which of these bold bets do you think will be the one to define its next chapter?